David Common. And the Titanic disaster was a turning point in modern shipping. It provided lessons that are still being learned today by people who make their living on the sea. Vicadopia has that story.
I'm going to try and make this turn and see if we can miss this piece of ice.
Welcome to the bridge of the Titanic on a collision course with history. This full-motion bridge simulator is one of only two in the world. It can recreate the conditions faced by the crew of the Titanic a century ago.
I don't think they saw the iceberg or ice up until the last minute. They were literally on top of it when they saw it.
What happened on this bridge a century ago triggered a series of revealing investigations. 2 years after the Titanic disaster, maritime nations signed an international convention to ensure those mistakes never happen again.
Vessel coming from St. John's Harbour, this is the Challenger, over.
Some of those changes, communicating emergencies to everyone aboard, is critical. Ships now all have PA systems, a lesson from the Titanic's failure to broadcast the call to abandon ship.
On the ship at that time, yes, people had to be informed to go and tell people something is wrong. And a lot of people didn't believe it.
The Titanic, as you know, sank because of overtopping of the water over the bulkheads.
The Titanic was considered a technological feat for its time. With watertight compartments and doors, the ship was an example of both how to build ships and how not to. Flaws in the design of the bulkheads only hastened the flooding of the ship.
Modern ships are built such that the bulkheads extend all the way up to what's called the bulkhead deck. Most ships has the main deck. And that prevents this progressive flooding from occurring. Now, that is one of the direct results of the Titanic disaster.
Navigating the shipping menace of Iceberg Alley was another. The incredible loss of life from the Titanic compelled governments on both sides of the Atlantic to act. It wasn't long before the International Ice Patrol was born.
It's at our 2 o'clock, 1:30.
The eyes of the U.S. Coast Guard hunt for icebergs, concealed amid the drifting sea ice on the Grand Banks, not far from where the Titanic rests today. The information collected here is shared with the Canadian Ice Service and on to the international shipping community.
It makes it difficult to find the icebergs. With the radars, you don't get the best return. So it's really critical that we have visual confirmation when we're flying over sea ice to pick out the icebergs.
Going around here.
This Canadian Coast Guard drill shows just how much has changed in the immediate aftermath of the Titanic. Enclosed lifeboats like these are now mandatory. There must now be enough for every passenger and crew member. The same goes for life jackets and immersion suits, and passengers must take part in weekly evacuation drills. But this expert says they're often just going through the motions.
Today, cruise ships are moving more toward virtual drills, where people are being shown videos of what they should do if there's an accident, which is quite different.
All right, I want you to come to 270.
For the next generation of mariners, the lessons learned from the Titanic will help prepare them for survival on an unforgiving sea. Vicadopia, CBC News, St. John's.
Tomorrow on The National, join us for special coverage of the 100th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic. That's at 6 p.m. Eastern on CBC Television and on CBC News Network at the times there on your screen. Now, a skill testing question for you.